I did my first reread of the year. Why am I having like an extreme deja vu right now? Beautiful, gorgeous, and she winds up finding a dead body. So I have been yammering on about how I was gonna read him to zero. I'm in a groove, Hi everybody, it's Audrey and welcome back to Chapter and Converse, and welcome to another round of what I have read lately. So we have a whole bunch of books to catch up on. I'm in a little bit of a series groove, and I am also working on some read to zeros, and I'm very excited about it. So I've read some really great books lately. We're gonna jump right in. We're gonna start with one of my all-time favorite people, which is Peter Swanson. So I read The Girl with a Clock for a Heart, which is his first book, and is the second to last of his books that I have left to read. So I have been yammering on about how I was gonna read him to zero, I feel like even since 2022, but here we are. The end is in sight, and I'm very happy about it. I'm also that person who likes to savor books, like I like to save one, but he does have a new one coming out this summer, so I'm gonna be ready for it. Or maybe even earlier than that. Is it earlier than that? Maybe it's May or June, I don't know. Look down below. So this, like I said, his first book, I had a very similar experience reading this, not in plot, but in emotion, when I went back and read Jennifer Hillier's first book, Creep, in that I was introduced to Jennifer Hillier, I think like book 5, I want to say, Jar of Hearts was. And Peter Swanson, The Kind Worth Killing, actually was his second book, I believe. I don't know why I thought it was like later in his repertoire, but the beauty of it is the feeling that I felt. Peter Swanson was always Peter Swanson. He was here from the start with his dark and messed up characters and everything that I love. In this book, we are following George, and the tagline of this is "First love is deadly." So it says, what if your college sweetheart, the girl of your dreams, suddenly disappeared? 20 years later, she's back, she's in trouble, and she says you were the only one who can help her. This is set in and around Boston, love, and George thinks he sees Liliana at a bar, kind of in the first chapter of this book, and has not seen her in 20 years and can't believe it's her because she disappeared all those years ago. So it just, from the jump, pulls you right in, very much the same way The Kind Worth Killing did. I feel like you really need to know nothing going into this book, and you're better served that way. But I would say classic Peter Swanson, lots of twists, lots of great characters. He's not afraid to go dark. He's not afraid to go messed up. And I loved it. I had such a great time with this. And I don't know why, and I'm going to say this about the next book I'm going to talk about also, why I had apprehensions, because somewhere in my head I feel like I thought I heard not great things about this book, but I think I'm mixing it up with something else, or maybe I just heard one person say it and I don't know why it lodged in my head, but I loved it. Was not at all disappointed in this. I love how he puts his characters in situations where you're like, how are you going to get out of this? Trying to connect all the dots, trying to bring everything together. I thought it was great. I thought it was smart. I thought it was clever. I thought it was twisty. I just love him so much. And it's just absolutely fantastic. And I'm just so happy I read it. Loved it. Highly recommend it. One of my all-time favorite authors. Read him. After I finish 8 Perfect Murders, which is the last one, which I was not going to pull off the shelf, but I'm going to do it. I will do kind of like a Peter Swanson, I think, retrospective before his next book comes out, because I do believe there's something for everyone in Peter Swanson. But this one, which I've kind of been savoring because it spoils books and movies, and I wanted to catch up on some before I was spoiled for it, is about mystery aficionado. I feel like that's a word I can't say. Malcolm Kershaw compiled a list of fiction's most unsolvable murders. He's a bookseller, and then he titled it 8 Perfect Murders, and now no one is more surprised than Mal, now the owner of Old Devil's Bookstore in Boston, when an FBI agent comes knocking on his door one snowy day in February. She's looking for information about a series of unsolved murders that look eerily similar to the killings on Mal's list. So, is he just very well versed in murder, or is he the perfect one to commit a whole bunch of murders? Very excited for this. So, planning to read this on the sooner side. You can quote me on that, because that is my plan. and then I will read him to 0. And then the next author on my read to 0 list is Alice Feeney. So I read Good Bad Girl. This is another one where I feel like some people didn't love it, which is totally fine. I really enjoyed this one. This was kind of both like emotional gut punch. It's a lot about mothers and daughters, but also super dark and twisty in a very Alice Feeney way. To me, this felt very on brand for her, and I had a really good time with it. So I wound up doing the audiobook of this. And let me get the narrator's name. I have been in a very steady audiobook groove, which I'm not mad about. You know, seasons, reasons, all the things. And there's nothing like a really great audiobook to help pass the time. But I listened to this one. So this is read by Katherine Press and Stephanie Racine. And I thought they did a fantastic job with this book. And this was another one where I was like, how is this all going to come together? And I love, don't worry, obviously not going to spoil it, but I love at the end how you're like in retrospect, oh, all these things that were there the whole time. I just have so much author love and envy here. So it says, when bad things happen to good people, sometimes good people have to do bad things. 20 years after a baby is stolen from a stroller, a woman is killed. The two crimes are somehow linked and spark a mystery with 3 suspects, 2 murders, and 1 victim. Edith might have been tricked into a nursing home by her estranged daughter Cleo, but at 80 years young, she's planning her escape. Her only friend is a young woman called Patience, an employee at the home who forms a real bond with Edith. But Patience is lying about almost everything, and after an approach by a mysterious stranger, Cleo is forced back into Edith's life whether she likes it or not. So again, we have multiple storylines, we have multiple POVs, and we see how they all come together. And I just loved Edith so much. I loved the women in this. It's definitely complicated relationships. Again, there's a huge mother-daughter theme to this. There's a huge mother-daughter connections in this. It's weighty in a lot of ways. Still a great twisty mystery thrown into it. I had a really good time with it. There's definitely a lot of one-liners that got to me and a lot of emotion in this. I feel like I'm very much a firm believer that books find you when they're supposed to. And I feel like this book found me when it was supposed to, and I loved it. I really, really did. I just think she's a great writer. I love her characters. I never know what she's going to do, and I'm never mad about what she does. So the last book of hers I need to read is I Know Who You Are, and I will be reading it. And then I will probably also do an Alice Feeney retrospective. I have been itching to reread His and Hers and Sometimes I Lie. I want to say those were Sometimes I Lie was the first book of hers that I read, and I feel like His and Hers was the second one I read, and I loved it so, so much. I know a lot of her books are going to get made into shows or movies or multi-part series or whatever, so I've kind of been feeling a kick to like revisit stuff, which is going to explain the next book that I'm going to talk about, but really loved it. Such a fan. Recommend her so, so much. So speaking of revisiting books, I did my first reread of the year, which is Hello Transcriber by Hannah Morrissey. So in anticipation of her new book, The Unlucky Ones, pop, we'll talk about that in a minute. I wanted to revisit the first book in the series because the main characters in this book play a main part in book number 4. So The Unlucky Ones is the 4th book in the Black Harbor series. This is the 1st book in the Black Harbor series. And I am so glad that I reread this. I listened to this on audio. Angela Dawe is the audiobook narrator. She has done the Finley Donovan series, amongst other things. Let's see what else she's done. She is quickly becoming one of my all-time favorite audiobook narrators. And I am excited to... I kind of did this with Julia Whalen at one point. I just found books Julia Whalen narrated and then read those. So I'm going to do the same thing with Angela Dawe. But in The Unlucky Ones, there's 2 POVs. Hazel, which is Angela Dawe, and Cole. Sometimes the planes fly so close overhead, they really just sound like they're coming in the window. But Angela Dawe narrates the new book as well. So she's done the Finley series. She did The Lost Village by Camilla Sten. She's done some Chevy Stevens, some Darcy Coates. Let me see what else I recognize here. Ugh, my library only has so many. Looks like a lot of romance books she's done. Nalini Singh she's done. I'm going to follow her wherever she takes me. I'm also currently listening to her narrate the new Finlay Donovan book, Finlay Donovan Digs Her Own Grave. So I'm in a groove. But Hello Transcriber follows Hazel. So Hazel and her husband live in this gritty, crime-ridden city, Black Harbor. It's in Wisconsin. All sorts of really terrible things happen here. And Hazel is the police transcriber working the overnight shift. And on her first night working, she basically has somebody come up to the window and she finds out that there's like a dead body buried or like left in the dumpster in the apartment building across the street that she looks out at from the police station. And she winds up getting kind of involved in this police investigation. And we get to meet lead detective Nikolai Cole, and she starts working with Cole on this investigation. And this is both like a very dark police investigation, crime story, and then also there's like this dark neediness and connection between the two of them. And on the reread, I think what I really appreciated was how well drawn the relationship between them is, how well drawn the characters are. Like the way that Hannah Morrissey can yikes, honk a horn, can very like succinctly convey everything you need to know about these characters and everything about them together. Just then, like, I don't know of a word other than just like there's such a desire and need between them. And I was here for every minute of it. And I loved it. I really, really loved it. I just am obsessed with Hannah Morrissey as a writer. She's just so incredibly fantastic. And I'm obsessed with this series. If you haven't, highly recommend. I highly recommend if you haven't already to read Hello Transcriber. It's quick, it's bingey, it's absolutely fantastic. And then go read The Unlucky Ones or read the whole series in order. You don't have to. They're all standalone books. Black Harbor, the town, is the main character, so to speak. But The Unlucky Ones, definitely, it's one of those books where if you've read the entire series, there's things you're going to pick up on, but you don't have to have read the entire series to read it, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like, I love it when an author gives something back to the readers who've been there the whole time. Jennifer Hillier, in a much more subtle way, sets her books in the same universe, so there might be very passing comments or references to things, whether it's a coffee shop or a murder case or something like that. But Hannah brings a lot of her characters back in book number 4, and I just absolutely loved it. Like, it's a great team of characters. Hannah Morrissey herself was a police transcriber, so this is very much inspired by her experience in some ways. So there is a bridge, Forge Bridge, which plays a big part in all of the books. That is a bridge that, look at her Instagram, she'll show it to you. She met her husband when she was a police transcriber. Like, it's all just in there, and I absolutely love it. And I was listening to her do an interview for The Unlucky Ones, and she was saying how the opening murder scene in that book, which is very dark and messed up, like, she is not afraid to go gruesome. She's not afraid to go... I mean, I've read one Karen Slaughter book, so I wouldn't put her in Karen Slaughter territory, but she's not shy about, you know, like the bodies and the terrible things that happen. But the murder scene in the first murder scene in The Unlucky Ones was an actual crime that her husband had told her about. So there's a lot of authenticity, is my point. She knows medical examiners, she knows other police officers. She brings so much realness to the page, which I absolutely love. So The Unlucky Ones, which is her newest book, has our characters reunited, has characters from the other books in it. It takes place 8 years after Hello Transcriber, and we are in the dead of summer. It's right before the 4th of July. So her other 3 books all take place like in the dead of winter, and it's cold and just, ugh. Whereas this one is like, it's like a ticking time clock. It is hot. It is sweaty. It is just, everybody is covered in sweat in this book. And there's so much pressure. And Hazel returns to Black Harbor and winds up again getting involved in a case. And there's so many different things going on. There's so many different big bads that are happening. There's a lot that needs to be resolved. And I just loved it. Again, I love her writing. I had the arc of this. I binged it. It happened. I started to read it right before I went on that work trip. I was reading it on the plane. My freaking plane was delayed, so I was reading it in the airport. At least I had a good book to keep me company. But I could not have loved it more. Re-obsessed with the series. Going to go back and reread the other 2 books. And again, could not love her more. Highly recommend her. Police investigation. The first book and the 4th book have an element of romance to it. The other 2 books, not as much, or not kind of at all. And I just think it's absolutely amazing. So highly recommend. Great series, coming at any time, kind of like Dublin Murder Squad, and you won't be sorry. You won't be sorry. They're so, so good. And then another series I want to talk about because I'm in the midst of a big binge. So this is the Secret Staircase series. So Under Lock and Skeleton Key. This is by Gigi Pandian. And then The Raven Thief is book number 2. The Midnight Puzzle is book number 3, which I listened to on audio. And then Minotaur very kindly sent me the library game, which just came out. I haven't started this one yet, so this is like next up. And this is such a fun series. So Under Lock and Skeleton Key has been sitting on my shelf for a few years now. Let me see, when did this come out? I didn't buy it immediately, 2022, but I didn't buy it not that long after I feel like it came out. So this series reminds me a bit of Truly Devious. It is, our characters here are in their 20s, so it's not a YA series, but the first 3 books, which I can't speak to this one yet, but stay tuned because I will. But the first 3 books have one overarching mystery in it and then individual mysteries within each book, the way that Truly Devious did, and I loved that. So one of the things I love about a series is not just the consistency of characters through the book, but when you have crimes that carry over, or when you have themes that carry over, or the impact of things that happen in one book to the next. Patricia Cornwell is fantastic for doing that. But Truly Devious, which I've talked about on here like ad nauseum, and I'm not sorry about it, but she conceived that as a trilogy. So it wasn't her just like kicking a can down the road and trying to like extend a series. Like she knew it was always going to be a 3-book series, and was able to plant clues from the start for things that were going to get revealed and solved in book 2 and revealed and solved in book 3. And again, I feel like this was a very similar situation. So this is, I would say, like a love story to classic mysteries, lock room mysteries. They are cozy-ish, I would say. So there's no violence on the page. There's hints at romance, but not really. There's no cursing. This would certainly be appropriate, I would say, for teens who are fans of the Truly Devious series. So there's nothing like, this isn't a Peter Swanson, Alice Feeney, Hannah Morrissey kind of a book. This is a safe haven for people. And I really enjoyed it. So it says, after a disastrous accident derails Tempest Raj's career and life, she heads back to her childhood home in California to comfort herself with her grandmother's home-cooked Indian meals. Though she resists, every day brings her closer to the inevitable, working for her father's company, Secret Staircase Construction, specializing in bringing the magic of childhood to all by transforming clients' homes with sliding bookcases, intricate locks, backyard treehouses, and hidden reading nooks. So Tempest joins her father's company. She is joining a new project that he has, and she winds up finding a dead body. So Tempest is an illusionist. Her family has a history on her mother's side. So the Scottish side of her mother's family has this rumored curse where the eldest child dies sort of in some magical way. So her mother's older sister died. Her mother disappeared 5 years ago and is presumed dead. And now Tempest is the oldest child. So she winds up finding her former stage double dead inside a wall of this house that they are working on, and supposedly that wall has been sealed for more than a century. So all that to say, she feels like she was the intended victim and needs to figure out how it happened, what happened, and who was after her now. So this book is peppered with like a lot of family, a lot of warmth to it, a great cast of surrounding friends, and she helps to solve crimes. So in book number 2, We have a mystery writer who winds up kind of dead at a seance that they're doing. So again, we get the same group of friends and family in this book who need to solve that murder. And then in the Midnight Puzzle, the theater, so these are all set in the Bay Area. So the theater where her mother disappeared from 5 years earlier has now claimed the life of somebody new. And once again, questionable who the intended target was. So Tempest, family and friends need to find out what happened. But what is so fun about these books, because there's so many people in here who are magicians and illusionists, is there's so much when it comes to sleight of hand and distraction and did you see what you thought you saw, and a lot of like playing with you, but fair play, but playing with you. And there's a lot of trickery and sort of some great magical moments that happen, not in a supernatural way, but in a magician illusionist kind of a way. I love her friends and family. I love the support system of it all. It's just like a tight-knit, great group of people, and there's a lot of characters, but they're woven in so well. Again, we see them all book to book, so we get to spend a lot of time with them. This was definitely a series that was fun to binge and just carry through the story. Some book, like I feel like some book series, I don't want to read them all back to back because it becomes too much. But this kind of felt like I watched part 1 of the movie, I watched part 2 of the movie, like that kind of enjoyment to it. So there's so many references to classic books. They don't give anything away, but they do pay a lot of homage to classic mysteries and sort of, I don't want to say like well-known tropes, but things that happen, that's not even right. Just sort of a love story to classic mysteries, I would say, particularly locked room mysteries. And I love the puzzle effect of like how she works things in and out. There is a bunny rabbit in this called Abra. You know, I am a sucker for a bunny. And then if you're interested, the back of the books also have recipes that she talks about in the books. So family is baking, family is cooking, and it's just a whole lot of fun. And I don't know, I just really, really enjoyed these. They were great, I would say, balances to the darker book that I read. And then let me get you the Midnight Puzzle, the narrator on that one. So I listened to that from my library because that's the only one I don't have. A Midnight Puzzle, not the Midnight Puzzle, A Midnight Puzzle. And this was read by Sunila Nankani. There's, like I said, there's so many characters in this. So she's doing the Scottish accent, she's doing the men, she's doing the women, she's doing everything. It just was really well read. Like, it was a very engaging book, and I just had such a fun time with it. So I'm excited for the library game and book 3, not revealing anything about the mystery of it, but book 3 ends with like the ask for book 4. So with someone coming to them and being like, hey, can you help with this? And like a new mystery is underway. So book 4, let me just sneak peek it for you guys because I haven't read it yet either. So we have Tempest Raj couldn't be happier that the family business, Secret Staircase Construction, is finally getting the recognition it deserves. Known for the enchanting architectural features that we talked about, yay, yay, yay. So Tempest is now taking on a dream project, transforming a home into a public library that celebrates history's greatest fictional detectives. Though the work is far from done, Grey House Library's new owner is eager to host a murder mystery dinner and a literary-themed escape room. But when a rehearsal ends with an actor murdered and the body vanishes, Tempest is a witness to a seemingly impossible crime. So once again, we have same cast of characters are going to help her try and figure out what is going on. A lot of her friends are part of the crew for her father's business, and I'm very excited for it. So you guys know I love it says there's a body in the library and everyone's a suspect. I love a book about a writer. Nope. Book about a writer, book about a library. It's just great fun. And Gigi Pandian is also in Sisters in Crime, which just love to support the sisters. So thank you again to Minotaur for book number 4. Very happy about it and having a fun time with that series. I am just, again, I did not plan to read series this year, but here I am, and I'm not going to question it. I'm going to roll with it, and we're just going to keep having a good time with it. So that is where I am at. Like I said, I'm reading Finley Donovan, book number 5 in that series, which I just love. Such a huge fan of that series. and I don't know what fiction book I'm going to read next. So I'm trying to do like new release backlist, but that also just doesn't always work. And I have an older Steve Kavanaugh on my nightstand, which I haven't started yet. I brought it on my trip with me thinking I might have finished the Hannah Morrissey book sooner. I completely underestimated how much quality time we were going to be spending together on the work trip. And I wound up just watching my iPad after I finished the book on the plane ride home. It wasn't a very long flight. So anyway, haven't started with that yet. Then I actually was like going to do this, which I ran out and picked up because I had to have it. Haven't read it yet. And then I also got, I can't think of the name of it. It just came out. It's a book about writers stuck at an isolated place. Let me go grab it. Had to have it. Don't remember the name of it. You Are Fatally Invited by Andy Pliego. Pliego? I think it's Pliego. I got the UK edition of this, so it came, I don't know, not long before I went on my trip. So it came out here, I don't know, I feel like end of February. But did I show this on a different video already? Why am I having like an extreme deja vu right now? Beautiful, gorgeous, yes please. So this is Isolated. Legendary mystery author J.R. Alistair's books are sold all over the world, but no one knows his real name. After years hiding in the shadows, he sent out 6 invitations to an exclusive murder mystery retreat on his private island. And the 6 best-selling thriller writers accept their invitations without question. It's an opportunity any author would kill for. They are the players, and here's the game. What should have been a week of trope-filled games takes a sinister turn when one guest is found dead, and the others find themselves in the midst of a nightmare drawn from Alistair's dark imagination. They may have written thrillers, but now they must survive one. So this cover, it's like a book within a book, like a book cutout, reminds me of Peter Swanson, A Talent for Murder. As I sit here and talk to you guys, I think I might give this one a go next. So I'm going to bring this in for my nightstand and see. Like there's like a map on the inside of the house. I think we found ourselves a winner. So stay tuned for the next wrap up to see, did she do it? Or did I take a different direction? Anybody's guess. And I will see you in that video. I've got my April one coming out, new releases coming out for April. And then we'll see. I'm gonna try and do some author spotlights. Let me know if there's something in particular, it's always a dangerous question, that you would like to see. I kind of feel like maybe I want to update my favorite thrillers, but then I'm also like, I don't really feel like my favorite thrillers have changed all that much. So I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure what I want to do, but let me know if somebody has a suggestion or something that might be helpful or something that might be fun. Happy to consider suggestions down below. So let me know what you guys have read lately. Any favorites you guys have had as of late? What are you currently reading? I don't know. Let me know whatever you want to let me know. And I will see you guys in the comments. I will see you guys in the next video. And until then, take care, everybody. Bye.